Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And you can hear the screams all the way from Silicon Valley as Twitter employees are screeching in the air. I'm sure, well, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Because they all claim that if Elon Musk was going to buy the company, they were all going to quit anyway. So this shouldn't be a big story that Elon is going to lay off 75% of the Twitter workforce. That's fantastic news, because I'm sure there's a lot of fat that needs to be trimmed off of what Twitter is, where they have 75% of these employees probably are in charge of making sure they censor conservatives as what their main job probably is. Make sure you hit those buttons and take out conservative accounts. And of course, Elon has stated that he is going to resurrect many of these accounts that have been unfairly banned on Twitter. Hopefully, my old account will actually be able to come back. That'd be fantastic. So let's kind of take a look what we have here. Coming to us over on Twitter. It's from Unusual Wells. It says Justin Elon Musk has reportedly told prospective investors in his deal to buy the company that he is planning to get rid of nearly 75% of Twitter's 7,500 workers per the Washington Post. That's huge. I'm sure it's a lot of trimming that needs to be done with this thing. And leftists, are you freaking out? They're like, oh, this is why we need unions. Why? So you can have an unproductive workforce there in Twitter, because that's what it is. It's very bloated. I'm sure that will actually save probably $500 million in just salaries alone, getting rid of this dead weight that's in the company. And of course, the federal government's freaking out too, because he's taken away their influence, megaphone that they've been able to utilize over the last few years, that they can been able to help manipulate elections. That way they want to home and abroad, using Twitter to amplify through its bot system to amplify opinions or candidates or whatever, to sit there and change the minds of voters out there. That's what that the federal government really worried about, that they're actually thinking about investigating Elon now about him taking the company private and having all of this power. Yeah. Federal government utilizing these social media companies to go around the First Amendment that you have in silencing you. This is what the federal government's been up to for a while now. And that's very dangerous, and that needs to be investigated, that needs to be put down. Because we don't need Big Brother telling us what we're allowed to think or view or listen to, or whatever. We do need to go ahead and place some more limits on the federal government. I think that's where the limits deeds we put on place, not on the individual people, love this nation. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you going to return to Twitter once Elon fully takes custody of it? And this is some big news, and at the last minute in the final stretch of the game, we see an unprecedented historic Republican surge. Let's go, folks. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, exactly what we've been expecting. And it's just so exciting to see it finally come to reality, to finally materialize. But every single day gets better and better and better. And so, of course, we're going to continue to talk about it, folks, because no longer is it just a couple pollsters, no longer is it the rest of us in the Trafalgar, the Emersons of the world, the insider advantage. It's official, folks, even the left-wing push polls are showing a massive shift towards Republicans and friends. That's a bigger story than you might think. Let's take a look at this most recent YouGovernor/Economist poll that has Democrats, quote, literally shaking. The red wave is very quickly turning into a red tsunami. And it's probably not even the full picture just yet. Let me show you guys what's going on. Alright, folks. So you open up the Real Clear Politics 2022 generic congressional ballot average in men, it's looking real red, pretty much across the board as far as the eye can see. Every single poll, most of these names, not exactly surprising to be seeing what we're seeing. But then as you make your way to the top of the list, and you see Economist/YouGov Republicans +1, now that number is shocking. And it's shocking, because 2 months ago, as you guys can see right over here in the graphic, that same exact poll was showing a +8 Republican leader. We covered that poll. It was an insane outlier, was completely ridiculous. And instantly, we ridiculed it. It was a clear outlier. And the one thing we pointed out for that poll is that Democrats were clearly oversampled, and not only the Democrats were oversampled, but that independents were also oversampled. And Republicans were clearly undersampled. I think the breakdown was something like 38% Democrats were surveyed and 24% Republicans, if I'm not mistaken, which is clearly egregious, and why we saw such a ridiculous number of folks. That's relevant here. And that's important because if we delve into this Economist/YouGov poll, nothing has changed. Take a look at the party ID breakdown: 546 Democrat voters, 540 independents, and only 414 Republicans in a poll that continues to seriously underrepresented Republican voters. Republicans are winning. What does that mean? That means very simply that independents are splitting for Republican candidates. That's the story here. You can take a look and see Republican +1 in this YouGov poll. And then cool Republicans have a slight edge. But if you really delve into it, if you really look a little bit deeper, it tells a completely different story. It tells you that even if you criminally underrepresented Republican voters in the data, Republicans still win because they're winning independents by a massive amount. And this means one thing: that this last-minute Republican surge is the making of a massive wave, a tsunami, that is about to crash the shore on November 8th. Folks, I keep saying it, and look, it might be coping. I don't think it is. I think we are going to see something that is not only going to surprise left voids, but might even surprise you. I believe that there is something brewing in the American electorate, which the polling data is not capturing. It's the only thing that can explain this last-minute phenomenon. It feels almost as if there's been a good chunk of independent undecided voters who have been on the fence, who have been holding back a little bit. Maybe previous Democrats or left-wing voters, who are waiting all the way to Election Day to finally make their decision. They're giving the Democrats and Joe Biden the benefit of the doubt, saying, listen, you guys got 2 months here, a month. It's getting to a couple of weeks at this point to turn this thing around and convince me. Of course we know how it's going on that front. I mean, this administration is failing. And slowly these undecided voters are left with no choice, and they're all breaking towards the right. I mean, look at Dr. Oz versus John Fetterman. It's the same race that we use to make that same point every time. John Fetterman has still yet to break through his ceiling, yet Dr. Oz continues to rise. And there's a reason why the RCP average has John Fetterman as the predicted winner of the state of Pennsylvania in the Senate. If you look at the polling data on surface level, you think Fetterman has this for sure. But if you scroll down a little bit, 19 days to election, they've been predicting Dr. Oz as the winner since 53 days out of the election. Pennsylvania 2022. Senate 19 days to election 2016 to 2020. Polls underestimated the GOP by 5.1%. And so they're essentially giving that 5.1% to Dr. Rise, and this time round. I mean, like I've been saying, I think polls are going to underestimate GOP support by 5 to 6 percentage points in some of the most key important races. And we're starting to see that people are pricing this in literally. Let's go to predict it. For instance, right now, based on predicting bet at odds, they think that the highest probability, most likely outcome in the Senate is 53 GOP seats, with 52 GOP seats running close behind it. And if we look at the Senate race between Dr. Oz and John Fetterman, well, Dr. Oz just took the lead in terms of odds to win. As you guys can see, on October 18th, it flipped on its head. This is a Republican surge, like never seen before. There's an element here that's beyond the data. There's a frustration in the voter base that's going to make itself seen, going to make itself heard come Election Day. That's basically what I believe. 19 days from Election Day, people still can't get a straight answer from Joe Biden's regime. Everyone listen to this. Clarify for midterm voters: top to Mexico, inflation or abortion, and Joe Biden said. All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing that crosses the board: domestic fast mail foreign policy to there's a lovable, multiple issues, and they're all important. And we ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, Okay. He can't even acknowledge what the top domestic priority should be. Well, it's very clearly inflation. Everyone knows this inflation. We know that the election is going to be majority about inflation, yet this clown just can't acknowledge it. That's going to have a serious impact. I mean, that is essentially what's been going on for the last however many months, and it's going to ruin the Democrat Party come Election Day. There is frustration brewing, folks. There's a good chunk of people that are not showing up in these polls, or that are just starting to show up in these polls. Democrats keep saying, well, women are going to show up, these angry women voters are going to show up. I've been looking around, folks. I'm looking as far as the eye can see, and they're just not showing up. But pissed off patriots, regular people who are sick of this irresponsible monetary policy and all of these left-wing garbage policies, those people I can see very clearly. I meet them all the time. They're showing up in the data. and they're going to show up come election day, because frankly, folks, enough is enough. That's how people feel, and that I believe is going to be the story when it's all said and done here. And these Democrats finally get what they deserve, the boot kicked to the curb, out with the old, and with the new. But of course, like I say in every single one of these videos, I'm going to turn all optimist. That's just my view. At the end of the day, we'll have to see exactly what happens here. Okay, Igor Shenko has been acquitted after lying to FBI about Trump-Russia. Michael assessment was uncovered by the jury of Clinton donors after lying to the FBI about Trump and Alfa Bank. Kevin Klein-Smith walked free. And he had his law license restored after pleading guilty to lying in warrants to spy on Trump. We have Peter Strzok, CIA, acting as FBI, and Andy McCabe, and all those people getting their full everything back, getting their full retirement and everything. No punishment whatsoever. It is absolutely corrupt. There is no hope of fixing this. Not from within. The corrupt people are doing this. So give me one moment here. We have this from whistleblowers. FBI agents blow the whistle on Christopher Wray. Check this out. Current and former FBI agents have called out Christopher Wray. This is coming from the New York Post. Former and current FBI agents are fuming about Director Christopher Wray's use of the FBI, his private jet, which originally was attended by Congress only to be used for counterterrorism purposes. A lot of other Americans like to know why Wray cut short a Senate oversight hearing on August 4 to fly in the FBI jet to his family's holiday destination. After telling Senator Chuck Grassley that he had business to attend to instead of business attend to, he jumped on the FBI jet to go to a family holiday. Whatever was the purpose of all those flights to Wray's hometown, they have set tongues wagging among current FBI agents. Do you see how the FBI, it's a corrupt institution, folks, from top to bottom? It's not currently the top without people that they can recruit from the bottom. But yes, there are whistleblowers. There are a lot of good people in the FBI that are just tired of the FBI and their shenanigans and their skullduggery, and they're calling them out. So they have set tongues wagging among current FBI agents. They have shared with former agents their suspicions that raised through the FBI jet, like his own private jet, and allegedly amounts to embezzlement of government property. Yes, it does. That's exactly what it is, which is when someone knowingly converts government property to one's own use. The FBI acquired the Gulfstream for the express purpose of moving its own counter-to-terrorism, rapid deployment teams anywhere in the world to deal with an act of terrorism. Flight checking software has shown that the FBI jet has taken trips Atlanta, Georgia, twice per month on average since June. Oh, by the way, Wray's wife is from a family that lives in that region. That might be why publicly available track flight tracking software reveals that the FBI jet has made trips from Washington, Atlanta, Georgia, twice per month on average since June. No reason for this trips have been offered yet. But Wray's wife is from an influential Georgia family in that region. Also, he worked there for many years, both for a private sector law firm and for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the region. Hopefully you folks enjoyed this chat this morning. Thank you very